Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Shalak, Rayam, Wa, Ainashim, Wa, Abajim, Wa, Charagim, Wa, Mashapajim, Alkol, Adawamyam, Wa, Gawamyam, Wa, Ayabayam, Nabu, Babakasha, 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 Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Thawada, Aman. Man, we pray curses on these devils, man. All praises, all glory, all honor to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham Kakadash, double honors to the elders and the apostles, the great millstone, whom teach well, who taught us this truth. We put curses on these heathens, man, on these 2/3, man. Not all of Israel is Israel. Here you have a leader of GOCC making a prideful statement, handing out $1,000 in Esau Edom's world for him to get, for somebody to prove that Cornelius was an Israelite. And that's one thing about, 2/3, man. Look, the more you read the scriptures, the more that the Most High is showing himself to you, the more you understand that 2/3 of our people have to be destroyed. That is why you have to separate yourself. You have to separate yourself from our people, even your own family members. That's part of this walk. That's what Yahweh Shai told his followers. He that follows me, this is my brother. Why? Because there are, those of our own household are going to be our biggest foes, man. And this man is proving this to be true. We're going to get some scriptures. The apostles and our elders of GMS, they were given this understanding years ago. And this understanding of Cornelius being an Israelite, this actually caused a split within the main camp at One West, man. But now everybody's coming to the understanding that the elders and the apostles were correct. All right, and that is that Cornelius was an Israelite. And the last thing that I'll say on this burnt out Bernie Mac dude right here is, that's one thing about these jackasses too, man, is that, he says, and I don't want you to go unto here, and I don't want you to go unto here. Well, why not? It's basically, he's putting handcuffs on you and saying, I want you to free yourself from these handcuffs, but don't use this key and don't use that. Well, why not? Because those scriptures that you quoted make the case for it, make the very own case for it, man. But that's all right. We don't have to go there because there are many other scriptures that show that the Most High only deals with Israelites. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. Let's get Acts 10, and let's get some words. Let's get some precepts, and we'll just we will have to revisit this topic again. As old as it gets, it's what we're called to do, right? We're called to defend the gospel. Acts 10 verse 1. There was a certain man in Caesarea called Cornelius, a centurion of the band called the Italian Band. Now, as a Christian, those coming into the truth, you read this and, a centurion, first thing that comes to mind is that he's an Edomite or a so-called white person. He's a Roman soldier. But you do a very quick search here. Let me see here. We'll do a very quick search here. Were there Jews, so-called Jews in the Roman army? Yes, there's evidence of Jewish individuals serving in the Roman army throughout different periods. So Cornelius serving in the army, that was an Israelite. That was an Israelite serving in the Roman army, just like today. You have many, Israelites that are in the army. You have, so-called blacks, so-called Hispanics, so-called natives in the Navy, in the Air Force, in the National Guard, things like that. Now, does that take away from who they are? No. But they are, in Rome's Ministry of Defense or the armed forces. But it doesn't take away from who they are. So even though Cornelius, was in the Roman army, he was still an Israelite. And as we read further, we're going to get that. Okay, now, while we're on this subject, let's go ahead and pause and take some let's get some examples of some other well-known Israelites that were in the Roman army. And first and foremost is Tiberius Julius Alexander. Was an equestrian governor, and he was actually a general in the Roman Empire, born into a wealthy Jewish family of Alexandria. Okay, so here is yet another example of an Israelite in the Roman army, and matter of fact, this specific Israelite was one that came against our people in 70 A.D., namely the Southern Kingdom, when they sacked the temple, man. So let's get one more. Let's get Septimus Severus. Now Septimus Severus, a very well-known so-called a very well-known so-called Roman soldier. He was actually he's actually credited for fortifying the walls around what's called today London City, okay, one of the city-states. And his name is Septimus Severus. Born in Roman North Africa, is often referred to as Rome's first African emperor. While his family had Punic, possibly Berber ancestry, they were also deeply integrated into Roman society. So here you have Septimus Severus, a so-called black man. Why? Because he was an Israelite in the Roman army, man. So our people back then were in the Roman army. And what's the very next question that these Christians are going to say? Well, his name was Cornelius. Well, yeah. Our name, today, our name is John. Our name is Matthew. Our name is Ralph. These aren't Hebrew names, but we're the Israelites, right? Just like for certain certain Chinese or certain red dot Indians, they leave their cultural name. Like, for example, you might have a Chinese guy named Konnichiwa Hishimoto, and what do? They change their name when they come to America because they take on the American customs and they change their name. You might meet a Chinese guy called Bob, and we know very well, like how many times have we gotten those scam callers, and we know it's a freaking Indian. Hey, sir, my name is Bob. We know damn well his name ain't Bob, but why do they do that? Because they're taken after the customs of Babylon. And that's exactly what happened to our people, through the Hellenization. What is Hellenization? Let's get that. Hellenization. What is it? Hellenization refers to the spread and adoption of Greek culture, including language, customs, and political structures by non-Greek populations, particularly in the world. So what ended up happening is that, when you read, First Maccabees 1 and 2, Second Maccabees 6, it talks about the forced Hellenization onto our people, that we had to take upon their customs, we had to stop following our laws, and we started to name ourselves after their names, and so you have the name Cornelius. But just because his name is Cornelius, it doesn't take away from who he is. If you yourself are listening to this message, whatever your birth name is, that's not, you're still an Israelite. But what have we done? We have renamed ourselves, right? According to the scriptures, one shall surname himself. Let's get that. One shall surname Israel, like Zephaniah, Zechariah, Salakia. Right here. Well, the other one is Zechariah or Zephaniah, but this one will work too. Isaiah 44:5. One shall say, I am Yahweh, and another shall call himself by the name of Jacob, and another shall subscribe with his hand unto Yahweh, Bashem Yahushai, and surname himself by the name of Israel. So, when we know who we are, what have we done? We've changed our names. So, I don't want to harp too long on that point, but let's go back here. Verse 1. There were Israelites in the Roman army. And because his name is Cornelius, doesn't take away from who he is. That just goes into the Hellenization of him. Okay? Second verse. A devout man, and one that feared the Most High with all his house, which gave much alms to the people, and prayed to the Most High always. Now, another giveaway is that he feared the Most High. Okay, now when I did another Google search, it might still be pulled up here. Let's see. Yeah, right here. It says, were the Romans polytheistic? And that word poly means, multiple. Theistic means, God believing. So, yes, the ancient Romans were polytheistic. They believed in and worshipped multiple gods and goddesses, a characteristic of polytheistic religion. So they believed in multiple gods. Now, what is the fear of the Most High? First thing that comes to mind is the 10 commandments. Thou shalt serve no other gods, right? So how can he fear the Most High if he was supposed to be a so-called Roman when the Romans were polytheistic people? It doesn't even make sense. Do you think the Most High would be listening to the prayers of a polytheistic Edomite? Do you think that that the Most High is going to deal with the very people that had, with the very nation that had our people under subjection? No. Did the Most High save any Babylonian during the Babylonian captivity? No. Did the Most High reveal himself to any Assyrian or any Medo-Persian? No. What about the Greeks? No. And all these are, the kingdoms that are mentioned in Daniel 2 and Daniel 7 that were called to rule the earth, and that by ruling the earth, that we would be put underneath them, that we would be subject to them, man. So the Most High is not going to show himself to somebody that's polytheistic, okay? So he feared the Most High, all right? Verse 3, he saw in a vision, evidently about the 9th hour of the day, an angel of the Most High coming into him and saying unto him, Cornelius. So he called him by name. And when he looked on him, he was afraid and said, What is it, Lord? And he said unto him, Thy prayers and thine alms are come up for a memorial before the Most High. So let's take a quick break here and let's get some more precepts. So now we have an angel showing himself to Cornelius saying that we've heard your prayers. So with this alone, we can get some more precepts and show that he's an Israelite. And I've got something pulled up. Proverbs 15, verse 8. The sacrifice of the wicked is an abomination to the Most High Yahweh Shem Yahushai, but the prayer of the upright is his delight. So the Most High is not dealing with, with these other heathens, and he's definitely not dealing with the wicked. Now, we can take a quick break here, and we can go into Malachi 1 and 4, because Malachi 1 and 4 tells us who the wicked is. Malachi 1 and 4, whereas Edom says, We are impoverished, but we will return and build the desolate places. Thus saith the Most High Yahweh Shem Yahushai of hosts, they shall build, but I will throw down. They shall call them the border of wickedness, and the people against whom the Most High Yahweh Shem Yahushai has indignation forever. For the wicked is Esau Edom. Esau Edom are the so-called whites, the self-proclaimed whites. So the Most High says that he has indignation against these Edomites. So why would the Most High send an angel and reveal himself to somebody that he hates? He's not going to do that. But to the contrary, it says the prayer of the upright is his delight. See, the fact that Cornelius' prayers were coming up to the Most High tells you that he was an Israelite. Tobit 12, verse 15. I am Raphael, one of the 7 holy angels which present the prayers of the saints and which go in and out before the glory of the Holy One. So Raphael is an angel that sends the prayers of the saints. Now, who are the saints? Let's get Psalms 50, verse 5, just to prove all things here. And brothers know this one. Gather my saints together unto me, those that have made a covenant with me by sacrifice. Who made that covenant? Even Christians will tell you, that the old covenant, goes into the Old Testament. Psalms 147, verse 19, he gives his word unto Jacob. He's not dealt so with any other nations. The saints are the Israelites. That's who made a covenant with them. Okay, so, and then, while we're there, we'll just get Revelations 8, or 3rd and 4th. Revelation 8 and 4. And the smoke of the incense which came with the prayers of the saints ascended up before the Most High out of the angel's hand. So, well, let's get 3. And another angel came and stood at the altar, having a golden censer, and there was given unto him much incense, that he should offer it with the prayers of all saints upon the golden altar which was before the throne. So there's an angel, offering the prayers of the saints, and those saints are the Israelites. So, with that alone, we know now that the wicked is an abomination to the Most High. Their prayers aren't going up to the Most High. So the fact that Cornelius' prayers went up to the Most High, working backwards, shows us that he's an Israelite. Okay? Very simple stuff here. Let's continue on. It says, let's continue on. It says, thy prayers and thine alms are come up for a memorial before the Most High. Verse 5, and now send men to Joppa and call for one Simon, whose surname is Peter. He lodges with one Simon, a tanner, whose house is by the seaside. He shall tell thee what thou oughtest to do. All right, so now what just happened right there? Cornelius had a vision, and everything was made clear to him. Now, let's get Amos 3 and 7. Good, I use the word oldie but goodie, but like the elder said, scriptures never get old. So, but it's just something. Amos 3 and 7. Surely the Most High Yahweh Hashem Yahushai will do nothing, but he reveals his secret unto his servants the prophets. Now, the reason that we go here is because the Most High is going to show himself and make things very clearly to his servants, to his people. Okay? Let's get Joel 2 verse 27. Because who are his people? Let's establish that. And you shall know that I am in the midst of Israel, and that I am Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, your God, and none else, and my people shall never be ashamed. So his people are the Israelites. The reason I'm going to Amos 3 and 7 is because when Cornelius was visited by an angel, the vision was made very simple and very clear instructions, and that is contrary to what we see, for example, in Daniel. Look at Daniel 2. Let's see. Tell the king answered them. Let me see here. It says, Daniel 2 verse 2 and 3. It says, then the king commanded to call them. Well, 2 and 1. In the second year of reign. In the second year of the reign of Nebuchadnezzar dreamed dreams, wherewith his spirit was troubled, and his sleep brake from him. Then the king commanded to call the magicians, the astrologers, the sorcerers, the Chaldeans, for to show the king his dreams. So they came and stood before the king. Verse 3, and the king said unto him, I have dreamed the dream, and my spirit was troubled to know the dream. Now what do we see here? We see Nebuchadnezzar, a king, an actual heathen, okay, an actual heathen, not an Israelite. We see Nebuchadnezzar had a dream, and the vision, and he didn't understand it. So what did he do? He tried to call his astrologers, but they couldn't make the dream known to him. Amos 3 and 7. We know that in this account, Daniel ultimately came through and gave the interpretation of the dream to Nebuchadnezzar. Why? Because of Amos 3 and 7. He shows his secrets unto his prophets, unto his servants, the prophets. And the reason that I brought that up is because we see here when Cornelius got the dream, it was made very clear unto him. He didn't have to, go and get a prophet. Where do I send him? Where's Peter? The angel made it very clear. Peter's here in Joppa. Send men. Tell him to come over here. He made it very clear. All right. And another example is, you read the book of Genesis. When Pharaoh had the dream, and what did Pharaoh didn't get the understanding. Who broke the dream down to him? Joseph did, an Israelite. Why? Because the Most High gives Amos 3 and 7, he reveals his secrets to his servants, the prophets. And that's exactly what's happening here with Cornelius. The vision is being made very clear, Salakia. Okay, so that's pretty much it. We can continue going further, but that alone, shows you that Cornelius was an Israelite. Let me see if there's anything else that I had loaded up here. No, that's pretty much it. I think we proved the point here. And we proved it with history. We proved it with, a couple precepts, and that's really all that's needed, man. So, the scriptures are there, the proof is there. If the Most High is dealing with you, he's gonna sup with you and he's gonna show you these things. And if not, then you're just gonna be a prideful bastard like this, burnt out Bernie Mac dude. And so hopefully this lesson was edifying. Hopefully it brings some more understanding. And we just need to stay away from these people that are just gainsayers. What is that? First Timothy 3. Let's see. Let me see. Brothers know where I'm going, man. Yeah, 2 Timothy 3. Salakia. This know also that in the last days perilous times shall come, and we are in those last days. We know who we are. We know who the tribes are. We have the name. We have the 100% truth. For men shall be lovers of their own selves, covetous, boasters, proud, blasphemers, disobedient to parents, unthankful, and unholy. And that's exactly what these people of GOCC are, man. They're boasters, lovers of themselves, and they're disobedient to parents. Who are the parents? The elders, man. Malachi 4, 5, and 6 goes into it. He will turn the hearts of the children unto the fathers, and the fathers unto the children. There's an order, We can't be bucking up against the elders who did the work, man. Think about all the lessons that we as individuals do. Think about all the digging, all the precepts, the preparation that it takes for us to do these videos. Our elders have been doing this for decades, man. And for these people to come and buck up against them, that's why these people, it just shows you who these people are. They have that little man complex, where they've never been anything in life. They come into the truth and then they want to, exalt themselves, man. Stop trying to exalt yourself, Look, if the Most High has it for you to be exalted in this ministry, he's going to exalt you in this ministry. But don't come with the attitude of, I'm going to be an elder, I'm going to be an officer. No, man. Scripture goes against that. It says, it tells you not to sit at the high places before you get told to go down into the lower places, man. Sit at the low place and then get called up, man. That's what Scripture goes into. But these people, man, our people, man, and the Northern Kingdom goes off too. It's not a Southern Kingdom thing. It's 2/3 of our people in general, man. They have this small man complex. They come into the truth and then they want to do their own thing, man. Cut that shit out, man. Come underneath the harness, right? Come underneath the leadership of the elders and the apostles and be saved. Stop trying to do your own fucking thing here, man. This ain't no fucking entrepreneur thing, man. This is salvation. All right, so salakia for that rant, man. But I mean, people got to hear this shit. All right, so until the next one, shalom.